Hello everyone, and welcome to the Commander's Forge. Now, I am your host, Andy Bentley, and the Commander's Forge is an area for me to talk about magic, Commander, and anything else that I feel like I want to talk about. Now, I wasn't going to release a podcast this week because I was just super busy this weekend, but seeing the news today, I decided I might as well touch on it since I hadn't recorded anything yet. And that is the Rules Committee has put out an announcement. First and foremost, they have removed Rule 11 from the Commander rules. Or no, it was Rule 10. And Rule 11 has become the new Rule 10. Rule 10 had to do with the Legend rule, and that just seems kind of redundant in a format around Legends. The other part of it is that Golos, Tireless, Pilgrim has been banned, and Worldfire has been unbanned. So let's get into that for a little bit. Golos is a construct creature, 5 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for a land card and put it into play. Then you can pay the Wooburgs and cast stuff for free off the top of your library. In a way, they felt like Golos wasn't fair because his mana cost wasn't prohibitive. So it was fairly easy to drop him, find the land you needed to make Wooburg, and then just go off. And then Worldfire is a sorcery for 6 red, red, red that says exile all permanents, exile all cards from all hands and graveyards, and each player's life total becomes 1. Now, this has been on the ban list for as long as I've been playing Commander. And I always wondered, how bad it could be while it was on there. But, you always respect the decisions. And according to the Rules Committee, they basically said that they still want Commander to be a format where they feel like 7, 8, and 9 mana spells can still be used reliably. And to this end, they decided to unban Worldfire. Can I say anything else about that? Not really. That's basically all there is to that. And I guess since I am recording, I will be back talking about upgrades to an old deck. I'll be right back.
Hey, did you know that for as little as $1 a month, you can help support this podcast? All you have to do is go to patreon.com/commandersforge, and that is CMDR_forge. That's it. That's all I got to say about it. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go there.
And welcome back. Now, to preface this next part of the podcast, I have an Arlen Cord Oathbreaker deck. Because I've always wanted to play werewolves, and they just weren't viable very well in Commander. That said, I will be converting this into Tovolar Dire Overlord and into a full Commander deck. It's going to have a couple stipulations posted on it, though. When I play it, I'm going to make sure it's okay with the table. That all of the old werewolves and mechanics around werewolves will work with the day-night cycle instead of the old way. Now, what does that mean necessarily? It means cards like Moonmist, instead of being transform all humans and then prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures other than werewolves and wolves, it would say when you cast this spell, it becomes night, which then transforms all of your werewolves, and then still keeps the prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures other than werewolves and wolves. So it gives you a clear range to attack. Yeah, anything that's like that, we would errata to just be a day-night cycle. Other than that, let's talk about the deck. First off, we can't do a werewolf deck without a few non-werewolves, namely Immerwolf, which is a red and a green for a 2/2 wolf. It has Intimidate. Other wolf and werewolf creatures you control get +1/+1, and non-human werewolves you control can't transform, meaning they cannot change back from werewolves. Very simple. It's gonna be a linchpin in the deck. There's all there is to it. Stuff like Howlpack Resurgence, which is a 3 mana, 2 and a green enchantment with flash. And each creature you control that's a wolf or a werewolf gets +1/+1 and has trample. That's stuff like that. But as far as like creatures go, stuff like Huntmaster of the Fells, which is a human werewolf 2/2 for 2, a red and a green. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into the Huntmaster of the Fells, you put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield and you gain 2 life. Now, in our version of the deck, it will not have the rest of the text. It will instead just have Daybound and Nightbound. And the Ravager of the Fells is a 4/4 with trample, and whenever this creature transforms into Ravager of the Fells, it deals 2 damage to target opponent and 2 damage to up to 1 target creature that player controls. And again, we replace the regular werewolf text with Daybound and Nightbound. Now, I would be remiss to talk about a werewolf deck without mentioning the old legendary werewolf, because while he is not a good commander for werewolves himself, he is still a decent creature. Ulrich of the Kralin Horde is a legendary human werewolf, 4/4 for 3, a red and a green. And whenever this creature enters the battlefield or transforms into Ulrich of the Kralin Horde, target creature gets +4/+4 till end of turn. Again, we're changing it to Daybound, Nightbound. And then Ulrich the Uncontested Alpha is a 6/6. And whenever this creature transforms into Ulrich Uncontested Alpha, you may have it fight target non-werewolf creature you don't control. So he helps something else punch for harder, and then he fights stuff when he transforms. That's basically all there is to it. Let's see here. Lambhold Elder is a human werewolf, 1/2 for 2 and a green, and has no special abilities on its front face, except the Daybound. And then its Nightbound side is going to be Silverpelt Werewolf. It is a 4/5 with whenever Silverpelt Werewolf deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's just good old werewolves. Things like Reckless Waif. Again, on the front, just a single red for a 1/1. And on the back, Merciless Predator is a 3/2. It gets better on the back. Mayor of Averbrook is a 1/1 for 1 and a green. Other human creatures you control get +1/+1. And then on the backside, Howlpack Alpha is a 3/3, and other werewolf and wolf creatures you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your end step, you put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield, and Nightbound. Gyre Reach Bandit is a 3/2 for 2 and a red with haste. And the backside is Vilden Pack Alpha. It's a 4/3 with whenever a werewolf enters the battlefield under your control, you may transform it. That one will have to be altered like the other ones to say when a werewolf enters the battlefield, it becomes night. Again, it's just going to be slightly different than what the card actually says. And until, Wizards puts an official errata out, this is just what I'm going with. Next up we have Duskwatch Recruiter. 2/2 for 1 and a green. For 2 and a green, you can look at the top 3 cards of your library and may reveal a creature card from among them, put them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And on the backside, it is the Krellin Horde Howler. 3/3, creature spells cost 1 less to cast. This is just going to be a good old werewolf, gruel, beatdown, turn creature sideways deck. It's still kind of in the planning process because going from a 60 card deck to a 100 card deck, there's going to be some math that needs to change, like number of lands, number of creatures I want to include, number of planeswalkers, like I want to include the new Arlen Cord, and a bunch of the werewolves that have released or will release with Midnight Hunt. And I think the best thing is it's not going to be a terribly expensive upgrade to make it a commander deck. I figure it might cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 or $40 to get everything I need. And yeah, that's basically what I've been thinking about the last couple of days. And I think I'm going to wrap this up before the weather gets any more crazier. And as usual, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button wherever you happen to be listening to it. If you're on YouTube, consider subscribing if you enjoy it. And I will see you next time. That brings us to the end of the podcast. I would like to thank Nate and Erica Jacobs for designing my logo, and Cody Mulpey and Ian Foss for allowing me to use a sample of music from their band The Crypt. The podcast can be found on YouTube by searching Commander's Forge. The podcast is Commander's Forge, that is CMDR_Forge on Twitter. I can be found on Twitter at BentzMr, that is BENTZMR. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time, and until then, here's to fun games and sick plays.